Grimdark King Reviews here, and today I will be reviewing Fairy Tail Chapter 425. Okay, so, two things. One, Gray, why? Future Gray, why? And two, freaking Sting, you fat bastard. Let's jam. Okay, so this chapter opens up with Wendy tending to a Juvia's fever that she got last chapter, and yet it's not really working. Because if you recall, previous chapter, Juvia was sitting out in the rain that she created, and she ended up getting sick because she was sitting there that long. Well, Wendy decided, she stayed behind to, take care of her, and her healing magic isn't working, so she ends up thinking, oh, we just have to wait for Gray to get back. We need to wait for Natsu to get back with Gray so that, she'll start feeling better. So we then, next panel, we cut over to Natsu and Lucy, and as I originally thought, Natsu had no idea if Sabretooth had any information about Gray. So he's telling this to Lucy as he's riding backwards on this beast thing towards like this huge castle in the distance. And he pretty much is telling Lucy that like while he believes in Gray, he admits that like he has to stop believing in him so that they can get information. And I think what he's trying to get at in this particular bit is like, he's my friend, I want to believe that he can't do anything wrong, but if I go into this without, thinking that Gray can commit evil, I won't be able to find out the truth. And it was actually really confusing the way he was explaining it, because essentially he was trying to explain it in a smart way, but Natsu's character isn't about, smarts. He's more of a bronze character, less of a brains character. And you see exactly how well a bronze person does when they try to explain stuff in a brainy way. And, he then tells Lucy that he promises to bring Gray back, but until he does so, he wants her to stop questioning him. Essentially, like, this entire discussion was, started by her asking, why are we going towards Sabretooth? And she's been answering, like, every one of Natsu's answers with another question. And it's gotten to the point where he's like, look, I promised to bring back Gray, but first I need you to, stop questioning me so I can concentrate. So then, we're then shown the inside of the Sabretooth Guild Hall, and Yukino's actually looking, a little bit different. She looks like she is a lot happier now that the old master Sabretooth is gone. And yeah, you know how Sting before the time skip was really skinny? Well, he's kinda like Joy now. Actually, no, he's kinda like Jet in the way that he got really fat. Like, really, really fat. And yet, Natsu being Natsu, he didn't really comment about, Sting changing appearance that much. He doesn't really care about that, but everybody else, particularly Lucy and Happy, they're like, oh my god, Sting, what the hell happened to you? Why are you so fat? But yeah, no, Natsu's just like, oh, what's up, Sting? Still the same as ever? Oh yeah, cool. So, it then goes on to, Lecter pretty much telling Natsu and them that, Rogue and Frosh and Minerva aren't in the guild right now because they just left on a mission. For some reason, Natsu didn't like hearing this, so he freaks out and he grabs Lecter by the face. And, Lecter being Sting's exceed, Lecter's like... Lecter doesn't really care at the moment, but Sting is like, dude, Natsu, what the hell are you doing to my cat? Hands off. And while Lecter's face is currently being grabbed, he, tells Natsu, hey, they just left, so they should still be in the city. They should be at the gates right now. So then Natsu, like, bolts off, trying to catch him. And, yeah, you know how Sting was fat? Well, Yukino kind of fixed that with Libra, the celestial spirit of the scales, to make him skinnier again. Because what had happened was they had a huge, like, eating contest the day of the tournament, I believe. And he kind of went a little bit too hard, and he ate, like, everything. So he blew up like nobody's business. So Yukino pretty much got rid of that because she was like, oh, he's just now, she's like, oh, he's a little, fat, so I'm going to even him out a little bit. Which I thought was comic relief. It was essentially comic relief in this chapter. So, the chapter continues, and, Natsu just caught up with Rogue, and he's pretty much dragging him out of the city, or rather, dragging him away from the group, and he's telling them while he's still running, hey, you guys need to stay here, because we need to have a one-on-one talk. So while Natsu and Rogue are off having their talk, Minerva tells Lucy that the reason why Sabretooth wasn't at the Magic Games the previous year, well, rather this year's Magic Games, was because Sting, who's currently the Master, felt that the tournament wouldn't be the same without Fairy Tail. Because keep in mind, Fairy Tail is the only guild that managed to beat Sabretooth. So any other guild wouldn't be any challenge, and it's Sabretooth. At the end of the day, they love having a challenge. So Minerva then goes to, apologize to Lucy about the previous Magic game, how she's, sorry for going so overboard, sorry for everything that she's done. And then this in itself shows a lot of character development for Minerva. Because before the time skip, she would never even consider apologizing. Hell, her own mentality is the very thing that she's apologizing for right now, which I thought, showed her character development really well. Then she also tells Lucy that she was actually really bummed to hear that, Fairy Tail disbanded. But what she didn't know at the time, and what Lucy proceeds to tell her, is that Fairy Tail's not actually dead. Natsu and Lucy are trying to bring it back, which, makes Minerva smile. Yeah, that's right, smile. Not like I can't wait to see you fall, or I'm plotting your demise. No, a honest-to-goodness smile, which I thought was really cool. So then the next panel, we get told what exactly the mission that Rogue and Minerva is going on. And yeah, it turns out that the mission that they had was to destroy Avatar. The new big dark guild that Grey's a part of. Well, this is exactly the thing Natsu needed, because it had the current location of Avatar. So he was like, hey, Rogue, I'm going to take this mission, and if you let me, do this, I'll give you back, all the reward that I'd get. But while he's telling them this, he's like, oh, and make sure that you and Frosh don't leave the city. Because it's revealed that future Rogue, when he was dying, he told Natsu to remind the current Rogue to protect Lecter this year. And I was thinking, when I read this, I was like, so wait, in the future, Grey is a bad guy. In the future, he's actually a part of Avatar? Or is he like just some rogue mage that, snapped when Fairy Tail went down? So I was thinking, maybe if Natsu doesn't take the right choices, that future is going to end up happening. Minus the dragons. So then this chapter ends with Natsu saying that Grey is a really important part of Fairy Tail, and that he's, gonna go get him. So let's see, what all happened this chapter? Well, we found out that Sabretooth is as big as ever, if not a little bit bigger, because all the revenue from Fairy Tail's old missions was going to them. 2, that Minerva actually did have some really good character development. She became more of an actual person and less of, of a witch, of a stereotypical witch. And then 3, that the reason why Froch was dead in the future was because Gray killed him. Which in itself means that, unless Natsu is careful, Gray's gonna go down the same path. So, let's see, what predictions do I have for next chapter? Well, I feel like they're either going to switch over to Avatar and show, what they're doing at the moment, or they're going to show Natsu catching up with Avatar and, starting to fight. Or they're going to start the monologue, which I really hope they don't, but chances are they're probably going to do a little bit of monologuing before any fighting happens. So I'm really anticipating this next chapter, because after this, these past two chapters have been really big on the whole, plot twist. Previous chapter showing that Gray is a part of the new Dark Guild Avatar, and this chapter showing that Gray was the one who killed Frosh in the future, which set Sting on his warpath. Well, which set Rogue on his warpath. So, let's see. This is Grimjaw King Review signing off. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. And as always, people, have an awesome day.